Hello, I'm the FanFic Critic. I read it, you listen. What is it with me and finding these horrible fanfics that really shouldn't be written? Fanfics that are wrong. They are just wrong. Like the one I am about to read to you. This fanfic is so wrong. You may be wondering why I'm not actually reading it from online, that I'm actually reading it from a sheet of paper. Well, I'll show you why. The person who wrote this did not bother putting paragraph spacings in it. Look at that. All one gigantic blob of text. And that's not just the only problem. Well, I guess you guys are probably wanting to know what the name of this fanfic is. Well, it is Late by Pretty Moppet. It's rated M, it's in English, it's romance family, it's a Sweeney Todd fanfic, and yes, I know, you guys are probably going to say, Al, but you already did the Sweeney Todd fanfic. Well, there's no rule saying I can't do another. And this one was just begging to be criticized by me. And, judging by the looks of this fanfic, it's going to be really hard to read seeing it's one humongous blob of text. So, I came prepared. Highlighters. So, come with me, and let's highlight. Na 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 na. Let's read the sucker. Late by Pretty Moppet. This is dedicated to Amy. Hope you enjoy, love. I tried. Nellie Levitt was on her knees, bent over like a dog. Her skirts were in bunches on the floor, and her right hand was working mercilessly, stroking so hard and fast, making her pant and heave, and her breasts move up and down, straining against the corset she wore. Her hips moved forward with each harsh stroke she gave. Her whole body was forced forward with every effort she made. Little curls of hair clung to her forehead from the light sweat that coated it. She grunted in frustration as she stroked harder, trying to get rid of the scum on the floor. Where is that boy? He was supposed to be here half an hour ago. Failing miserably, she gave up, hands on hips, and huffed out one last frustration, before she felt fingers tangle in her curls and yank her backwards slightly. Mr. T? No, Judge Turpin. Take off your clothes. Did she really need to ask? Yeah. Todd let his free hand answer for him as he slid it under her corset to cup her right breast. A whimper escaped her mouth, and she waited to see what he'd do next. Todd removed his hand and had her strip for him. She removed every piece of clothing, including her boots and socks. Her want for him was obvious by her hard, rosy nipples and her gleaming pussy. Todd's eyes stared longingly at her womanhood. Okay, I'm sorry. Just say vagina. I mean, the fanfic is rated M anyway. You're going to be writing about sex anyway, so you might as well call it vagina. It just sounds so stupid when it's like womanhood or manhood. We know what the thing is. Just call it by its name. Okay, let's reread the sentence correctly. If I can find it. Okay, Todd's eyes stared longingly at her vagina as Nellie's fingers trailed her slit up to her... What? As Nellie's fingers trailed her slit up to her clit and began to rub it. What is this, Dr. Seuss? She knew he'd like that. In 4 swift steps, he was over to her, unbuckling his pants and setting himself at her opening. She loved it when he could hardly resist. He roughly jammed 3 fingers inside of her, but he knew she would take it, and he knew she would. He stretched her well enough and replaced his fingers with his throbbing cock. Okay, something tells me that the penis doesn't actually throb when you're about to have sex. I know it gets erected, but I don't really think it throbs. Then again, I'm a woman. I wouldn't know, but... Okay, anyway. Sliding into her and thrusting violently without hesitation. Oh, how she loved it as her body was overcome by a strong hold on her. Wouldn't it be her body holding on to him? Seeing he has the outie and she has the innie. She was being pounded into the wall as he continued to hump her. Then it happened. They had a baby. She heard the bell of her shop ring. She felt a sickening twist in her stomach, but she couldn't see who had entered, because he had pinned her so tightly against the wall and his sweating body. "Mom, Mom, I'm home," Toby yelled into the shop. He hadn't seen them yet, but he soon would. That was inevitable. Todd smung her onto the bench table. Don't you mean flung? Anyway, and continued to ram into her even as she tried to get away. She didn't want her son seeing her this way. He was only a boy after all, and he'd be scarred for life. But Toby had caught their movement in the corner of his eye, and he stopped in his tracks, staring at the couple. He felt a familiar bulging in his pants and instinctively moved a hand to it, rubbing it down, trying to tame it. You have got to be kidding me. He had tried to tame his little cock so many times before, with the tight little dresses his mum wore, and the way she was always leaning over things. He never felt dirty for it, just like he never felt dirty for when he was in the workhouse being felt up by the workers. After all, we are all born sexual beings. Isn't Toby supposed to be a kid? I have to continue. Let's move forward.